The National Green Tribunal said on Monday that it will not interfere with the environmental clearance that the Union Environment Ministry gave for a series of infrastructure projects on the Great Nicobar Island. The NGT said that the projects were of national importance and there was a need for a balanced approach. Now here's why this has raised numerous concerns. The Union Environment Ministry gave Stage 1 clearance for the projects in 2022. But the International Transshipment Terminal, a township, a power plant and a greenfield airport that the Union government wants to build on the island, spending more than 80,000 crores, will mean cutting down around 1 million trees in 130 square kilometers of forest land. The port, which is also part of the project, will come up in Galathea Bay, affecting coral reefs and leatherback turtles that nest on the beach, and other wildlife too, including the Nicobar megapode, which is a bird endemic to the region. Social scientists have warned that the project will affect the Shompen and Nicobarese indigenous communities. Part of their tribal reserve will be denotified for these projects. Now, these were all issues that environment activist Ashish Kothari cited in his petitions to the NGT to question the environmental clearance given by the ministry for the projects. But here's what the NGT said on Monday. It said that the projects will not affect the Shompen and the Nicobarese. The NGT also claimed that it had found, in the first round itself, that tribal communities were duly represented at the public hearing and that they will not be displaced. Now, this statement by the NGT comes when members of these tribes have alleged just less than a month ago that they had been asked to sign surrender certificates to give up their claims on their ancestral lands. Then, the NGT said that the project will not affect coral cover based on the Zoological Survey of India's finding that there are no corals in the area. And yet, at the same time, the Institute recommends translocating around 16,000 coral colonies, which means that corals will indeed be affected. The NGT also said in its order that the projects do not fall under the Coastal Regulation Zone 1 of the Island Coastal Regulation Zone notification of 2019. This is despite the fact that studies record more than 500 nestings of leatherback turtles in Galathea Bay in the last 3 nesting seasons alone. The NGT said that a single season survey conducted by the government to measure the impacts of the projects on biodiversity is acceptable and that a multiple season study is not required. Now, ecologists have argued that only a multiple season study would capture the whole range of impacts on the island and its biodiversity. The NGT also said that the high-powered committee it had put together in 2023 had found in its report that the ministry has all environmental safeguards in place to ensure minimal damage to people or biodiversity through the projects. However, the NGT has not made this report public. It did not even share this report with Kothari, who is the petitioner in these cases. The committee contains only officials from government departments, including research institutes that come under the Union Environment Ministry. Now, this is a blatant conflict of interest. Institutes like the Wildlife Institute of India stand to benefit monetarily from the project for the studies and mitigation measures it plans to put in place to reduce the impacts of these projects, scientists told The Wire. But despite all this, the NGT said it has found no good grounds to interfere with the environmental clearance for the projects because all safeguards are in place. It has asked the ministry to ensure these are strictly complied with. The NGT also dismissed all cases filed by Kothari on February 16th. It said that the projects on the Great Nicobar Island were of great importance for India from the strategic and defense point of view, and that this project was of national importance and required a balanced approach. Now, the onus falls entirely on the Union Environment Ministry implementing the said safeguards or mitigation measures, something experts say will still cause grave impacts on the island, its biodiversity and people. And this stand by the NGT is not new. In 2023 too, the NGT had said that it would not interfere with the forest and environment clearances accorded to the projects on the island. In 2025, the NGT also refused to consider the parts of the committee's report that were withheld from the public to revisit the environmental clearance given to the project. Meanwhile, those who live on the island find yet another authority closing its doors on their concerns. Other court cases are also underway, including one pertaining to the violation of rights of tribal communities under the Forest Rights Act and another regarding forest clearances for the project.